What's up, Jones Bones? It is your girl Unitedly Random, and we are back today for episode 3 of Trauma Timeline, Mama Dearest Part 2. And in this video, we're definitely going to talk about the text messages that I said we were going to talk about last time, but we never really got around to talking about, because I think I want to go ahead and start off with that. And I was thinking I wanted to go ahead and start off with that, but we probably won't start off with that because I have a lot of things that I want to get into. Mostly I want to clarify some of the things that I didn't clarify from episode 1, and I just want to keep everything kind of going. So before we get into the story, you guys know how we do it. Like every time, Trauma Timeline is a timeline of the traumas that have happened to me. It is me trying to make sense of my life. It's me trying to make sense of my childhood. And throughout me trying to make sense of my childhood, I am speaking about things that I believe you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. I don't know what you be wishing on people, but things like childhood trauma, including being SA'd, specifically by my brother, which honestly wasn't even the start of that type of trauma in my life, but it's just me just being open. I'm trying not to go into too much detail, but I'm letting you guys know what's happening and what has happened and what has affected me to this point. So given that, if you not completely there, okay, I've had times when I wasn't completely there, and you might have similar traumas that have happened in your life, do not watch this alone. Make sure that if you are gonna watch it, have a little tea, pause it when you need to, take a break, walk away from it when you need to, because this story will be up. This story is not gonna go anywhere, but your mental health is the main concern for me. For my Jones Bones, I want you guys to be doing good, okay? And it's funny because me talking about these things will put me in a downward spiral for about 2 days afterwards. So it's really about your self-care techniques, and we're gonna get into that later on after I actually finish my trauma timeline. So before we even get into the reading, you know, I like to let you guys know what I am drinking. So I am drinking NT matcha green tea latte. Let me see. This is what I'm drinking today. It's in this little cup right here. I only have like a half a cup of it because I'm saving the rest for stew. But it's yummy. It is truly yummy. And after this intro, we are gonna go ahead and start on the story, okay?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Okay, for those who do not know, I was adopted when I was 4 or 5 years old. This is all based off of information that I was given. My mother was a little bit of a train wreck. She liked drugs a little bit more than she liked being at home with her kids. She was also selling it on the street, but we don't judge here, okay? Sex work is still work. That is my stance on things. You feel me? And I think because I have that stance on things where I'm just not necessarily a judgmental person, I think that my mom didn't necessarily like that I let my birth mom back into my life. My reasonings behind letting my birth mom back into my life after I found, first of all, like, if we're gonna be real, my mom raised me to be someone who is forgiving of people when they commit crimes against you. I mean, I lived in the house with my brother who would literally steal my laptop every time I got one. And my mom would just generally blame it on me. Like, you know, you live in a house with a rogue. Why would you leave your laptop out? And I'm like, ma'am, it was underneath my bed. And she was like, well, you think he wasn't gonna look underneath your bed? So it was one of those situations, you feel me? So my mom has definitely raised us to be a little bit more passive when it comes to people who have done you wrong. It's more so like, oh, don't go or be around that uncle because they're sus, but not, hey, we're just not going to interact with that uncle because he's sus. My mom would much rather continue an interaction with people just so that she didn't look bad than to actually just be like, I don't fuck with you, you know? Because I'm one of those people that that I will probably get to the point where I'm just like, I don't really fuck with you, so we're gonna have to keep moving. But my mom definitely did things to look right or look nice. And so that's what got me to the point when my birth mom came back into my life and I found out she was my birth mom. I was like, okay, cool. You still gonna be my aunt, and that's it. It was no hard feelings. I didn't really care. Like, I don't have any memories too much of you being in and out of the hospitals and whatnot and in and out with drugs. Although I think subconsciously I do have those memories because I have a very strong hate for medicine. And this was something that I had since I was a young girl. Like, I don't like taking things. I think part of me, when I was young, always felt like I could get addicted to this, so I'm not going to take it. But no one ever really said, hey, Alia, you're going to get addicted to this, so don't take it. I think I also saw my birth mom just popping back pain pills all the time. Well, not my birth mom, but my adoptive mom. Y'all, I'm getting it mixed up. But she would pop back pain pills all the freaking time. And she would go over the limits that they said. And they were like, don't take this much or it'll be bad for her kidneys. And she'd be like, YOLO, all the freaking time. So, it just really made me uncomfortable, the action of taking pills. Right now, I'm even planning on, once we have a baby, doing it without epidural. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I'm getting a little bit off topic. I want to keep it on this channel. Like, I let you guys know that my adoptive mom was a foster parent. So if you guys don't know what a foster parent is, lucky for you. You know, you possibly did not grow up in the system. But a foster parent is actually someone who takes the kids in. It's usually for a temporary time. It's because their parents possibly can't take care of them at that time. I think a foster parent kind of steps in when the family of that person doesn't necessarily want to help take care of the kids and whatnot, or they're not in the position to help take care of the kids, because it's not always like, oh yeah, they don't want them. It's, we cannot take care of you. And I was a foster child before my mom adopted me. I was going in and out of foster care with specifically my mom, because my birth mom, she couldn't get her story straight. She couldn't get her facts straight. I don't know if I told you in the last video how we actually ended up, me and my sister actually ended up going into the system for good. It was actually around the time, you know, little 4-year-old Alia got her mama in trouble. So my mom's out. I don't know what, doing where, and when. And the caseworker kept calling the house. This is information from my adoptive mom, okay? But the caseworker kept calling the house, and there was no answer until finally, little 4-year-old Alia answered the phone and was like, yeah. And they were like, where's your mama? And I was like, she gone. And they were like, where is she? And I was like, I don't know. And then I just hung up the phone. I kind of wonder because, like, I mean, did I really tattle on my mom, or did my mom just hand me the phone and then, like, was like, okay, well, let them come and get them because I can't, you know? I think it probably could have been easier to just have them call and just finally answer the phone and just be like, okay, put you on the phone, let them come get you because I can't take care of you. And I think that that's pretty doggone good of her to do, you know, in the throes of addiction, wanting to be a parent, but also knowing you can't handle this, you know what I'm saying? And knowing that you can't handle this, not continuing to try to be the parent that you think you should be, but being the parent that you have to be. The popos, they came, picked us up, and your girl was 4 years old chewing on a chicken bone. And when my mom told me this story, I immediately laughed because I was like, that sounds about me, you know, eating chicken. But my mom was like, no, you were 4 years old. You could have, like, got the bone stuck in your throat and this and this and that, you know? And I was like, oh, this is a lot more serious than I originally thought. I guess because I'm already an adult and I've already grown up, but I was in a house alone with me and my sister, my older sister that actually had cerebral palsy. Now, my older sister, she could not walk, talk. She was baby. She was a baby. That's the best way I can put it. And I don't think she'll ever be able to hold a conversation. I could have decided that my sister needed food and start putting food in her mouth and this and this and that. Like, don't leave 4-year-olds home alone. And I don't know if my mom was just down the street or not. You know what I'm saying? But what my adoptive mom has told me is that my birth mom did not fight for us anymore after that. She just disappeared. She just disappeared, and they were like, okay, well, she's available to be adopted. Do you want her? And my mom was like, yeah, I want her, but I'm not gonna adopt her sister. Which is, I think she didn't adopt my sister because she was ready to one day give her up. And she did get around to giving my birth sister up. And it was really something that, like, was expected, but she did it in a way that came unexpectedly. I remember I was in 5th grade, and one day I got in the car, and my mom was like, so they came and picked up Kayla today. And I was like, okay, so when are they gonna drop her back off? And my mom was like, no, she's gone. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, she's gone. And I remember feeling a lot of emotions in that moment. And my mom was like, well, you knew she was leaving because I told you this morning. See, and that's the thing. I don't know to trust my mom's recants of anything. I don't know how to trust my mom's recants of anything. Hell, I don't even know to trust my own recants of anything. You know what I'm saying? But to my understanding, she did not tell me that she was going to be leaving that day, because at first she was like, oh yeah, they came and picked her up. I was surprised. And now you're saying that I absolutely knew they were going to come and pick her up that day. I did not. And my mom just kind of like sneaked her out because she was getting married to my dad, and she felt like, well, I'm tired of working. I'm tired of doing all this work. And my sister, you know, she has cerebral palsy. She was heavy. My mom had a bad back. They were taking her to a facility where the people already had the tools necessary to take care of someone with cerebral palsy, right? And I can't be mad at that, but I can be a little bit frustrated how my mom tried to tell me that I completely knew that my sister was going to be gone. Here's the thing. Me and my sister, we had a really strong connection. If I was crying, it doesn't matter where in the house I was. If I was crying, she would cry too. And my mom used to hate to give me like butt whoopings because my sister would cry. And my mom would laugh about it like, oh my goodness, if she cries, the other one cries too. You know what I'm saying? And to take that connection and to be like, it doesn't matter, is what really sucks. And the reason that I can say that my mom doesn't care or it didn't matter to my mom is because even though she gave my sister up to be put into a home, which honestly they could treat her better and this and that, she gave my sister up, but she did not keep up any type of information with my sister. She did not think that that was important. And also on top of that, she turned around and that very same day that she gave her away, she told me, oh, the reason that you feel so connected to her is because she is your cousin. I live with the thought that my sister was my cousin because my mom did not want to have that conversation that I was adopted, did not want to have that conversation that that was my sister, but wanted to give me the validification of feeling so heartbroken because she was gone. So that's your cousin. That's someone you've always been around. She said it specifically to me. She didn't say it to my like brother or sister or anything like that, but that's how she set it up, right? And it was cool because me and her didn't have the same last name. I didn't necessarily know that she was my sister. All I knew was she was someone that I felt the closest to in that house. Like every time I cried, oh, I'm getting emotional. But every time I cry and every time I feel hurt, I go in the room with her and just sit with her. I just sit with her. And that would make me feel whole again. And I had these grand dreams of one day becoming a special ed teacher and taking care of her. And my mom would tell me, you don't want to take care of her. You don't want her. You don't want to deal with her. And I'd be like, nah, I do. I want to. And after she pretty much got rid of her, I would say, oh, I want to find her, and then I want to take care of her. I want her. I want her back. And my mom's like, you don't want her. You don't need her. It's giving me that my mom saw my sister as a burden, but within seeing my sister as a burden, she didn't see her as my sister. And so now I am 25 freaking years old, and I haven't seen my sister in like 10 years. And if we're gonna be real, I don't know if I'm ever gonna see her. I don't know, like, I'm trying to figure out the process of trying to see her, but it's just so much that I get so overwhelmed that I just walk away. I just hide away from it. It's scary because my mom used to keep my older sister and another girl named Jasmine. And before Jasmine even turned, I think, 19 or 20, Jasmine died. And it made it so real to me that these things happen and that sometimes they're going to die earlier, people in that state. And the thing was that if they are going to die earlier, who's to say that something hasn't already happened to my sister and my mom just hid it from me? I don't have any trust for my mom, but when I started bringing up wanting to interact with my sister or wanting to this and this and that, my mom pretty much threw me off the case. She told me that the caseworker was gone and I wouldn't be able to get any information, and she just kept throwing me off the case. So now I just kept putting it off because life happened in Korea, and then your girl went to a mental facility. She was dealing with her own stuff that I didn't feel strong enough to take that on. And now I'm regretting it. I wish I took it on. And also now I don't really know where to start. So that's the thing that I wanted to touch on the most. My mom got rid of my sister. And it's just the family ties of it all. So let me look at my handy dandy notebook and make sure that I get on all of the things that I want to touch on. In general, I feel like my mom very truly ignores reality. And when you have an adult that ignores reality, when things get hard, they just run away because they don't want to deal with it. It very much creates someone who is a runner. And I am a runner. I'm a track star. I am going to run away when life gets hard. And it's something that I tend to do when things get a little bit hectic. I either dissociate or I'm gone. I'm leaving and I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to try to go somewhere that I don't feel so pressured, bogged down. I don't feel all of these negative feelings. On another note, if we want to talk about my birth mom, Angel, we never really had any deep connection. I never really relied on her for too much of anything. She popped into my life later on in life, and the interactions that I had from her were always her promising something, but she never really fell through. And the thing is, I never called her up for money, but she had it in her mind that I would just call her for money. I call her when I want things, but I really just called her to see how she was doing some days. And some days I would call her to ask her about like baby photos, because I really wanted to see myself as a baby, because growing up, my adoptive mom always would pretty much lie to me and tell me that, oh, your baby photos were lost because they were under the house and that's how they got lost. And it was a lie, because she just didn't have photos of me as a baby, maybe from 4 years up, but not as a baby. And those were the things that I wanted, because everyone likes to pull out their pictures of them as a child and be like, oh, this is me, and but I just felt like I never had that. My brother, my sister, my mom would pull out photos of them, but I never had photos of me as a baby or a toddler, and that was the only thing that really like made me feel sad growing up. So we're gonna have to make sure to take a lot of photos of my kiddo when I have one. That's about it. Growing up, I think another thing that I put down, growing up, we all had our own fathers. My brother had his father that wasn't really his father, but my mom had him around and like pretty much this is your father. And pretty much his father abandoned him. So he had abandonment issues from his father. My father was a trucker and he would go around and stuff like that, but he was also the type of man that would tell a little 5-year-old that he was going to tie her to the mailbox with raw meat, tie her to the mailbox naked with raw meat on her body and let the neighborhood dogs eat her alive. And my little sister, I think she had the best father of us all, but he was sick. So my daddy, the last few years of my life, the man that my mom got together with when I was like in 4th grade, 3rd grade, that was the best father figure from them because he was there until the end. He was just very sick. So, but he brought money into the house. He was never a voice that would go against my mom. So like he enabled my mom a lot. If we're gonna be honest, he enabled my mom a lot. And I think he just truly loved her because I can't imagine any other thing of why he would just continue to be there and why he would also feel like she was being mistreated and stuff like that, unless he just truly loved her and he saw the stars and the moon in her, opposed to what my mom would like to tell me about my father after he has passed away. Because my mom don't have a lot to say that's good about people. If I'm going to be honest, she does not have a lot to say that's good about people. She's the type of paranoid kind of behavior. Everyone's talking about me, what they say about me. Like I could have an old friend of my mom, like auntie that I grew up with, hit me up and was like, "How are you doing?" And she was like, "Don't tell her anything about what I'm doing." And I'm like, "What are you doing? Nobody cares about what you're doing, you know?" But it was that type of situation. So those were the things that I wanted to touch on. Now I want to go ahead and talk about these text messages that I sent my mama, okay? Now, I told y'all I was going to talk about this last time. I did not talk about this last time. Why not? Because it's just, you know, it's just one of those days. But you guys, I have this thing where I hold it in until I explode. And this was one of those times in which your girl exploded. It boom, boom, bam all over the place. And my mom, she got it all. She got the word. She got everything from me. And it was just like, boom. And I don't even know if she's gonna actually respond to these. But it's been a while since I had actually talked to my mom, and I've just, when I'm at work, I just kind of meditate on myself, and I cry. I cry a lot at work. I just think about my family, I think about myself, and I don't know, I throw myself a little sad girl party, and I be crying because I'm just like, the things that happened to me, I didn't necessarily get to mourn when it was happening. I had to keep going. And now that I'm in a safe spot, I sit back and I listen to my inner child. I listen to my heart and I let myself cry when it needs to cry. So it was after one of those crying sessions where I was just like, I'm just so frustrated because there's so many things that I have never been able to say to my mom, mostly because in Black communities, I don't know about you guys, but the adults have the last say. I always grew up with not even being rude, but asking questions, and that being seen as me being like a really horrible child and this and this and that. And also being told that if I grew up in the time zone my mom grew up in, the time zone that my mom grew up in, I would be dead because they would beat me to death. You know, I grew up hearing that, and being someone who is naturally curious, someone who naturally wants to ask more questions about things, that really was like, your entirety is an annoyance that no one wants. You know what I'm saying? But I blew up on her. And she never responds. She's never going to. She either has me blocked or she just doesn't care about my mental health. I think that she feels like maybe I am blaming her. But the thing is, and we'll say it after I read this out to you guys, I'm going to try to bleep out names, even though I've already told you guys the names, but I'm just going to bleep it out and bleep out the certain things. Like, you'll have the first letter and stuff like that. But it's going to be, and I'm going to put it on the screen too. So, boom. Okay. So, October 10th at 7:36 a.m., I sent my mother. I have thought about this for a while, but you have deeply scarred me. You finding out that my brother, worded me was never my plans, but for you to constantly blame it on me was disgusting. And she would, like, I'm going away from this, but she would constantly blame it on me. She told my little sister that she thinks that there was another version of me that wanted it to happen, and like I was mentally pretty much, I have multiple personalities and I'm like mentally unstable and stuff like that. And for you to constantly bring him up after I told you to stop was disgusting. She would constantly bring him up. She would always like bring him up and be like, oh, I don't know why you're so mad at him. You need to forgive. Jesus said to forget and these things. And it was just like, it was never in my plans for her to find out. But for her to constantly push me to forgive this person who looked at me in my face and was like, oh, she crazy. I never did that. Like, the apology that I got wasn't even from him. The apology that I got was from her saying, oh yeah, he said that he was sorry. Okay, he didn't say that he was sorry to my face. You're just trying to push us back together to be this family because you don't like the idea of your family falling apart. And it's at the end of the day, your family was never together. Because if we're going to be real, you didn't have as much control over your family as you thought you did. And honestly, the control that you thought that you were imposing upon your family actually pushed them to go different directions. I gotta breathe that. I gotta breathe a little bit. For you to invite him over multiple times while I was asleep, and when I communicated to you that really bothered me to hear his voice, was disgusting. I would be asleep because at this point I was still living with her before I moved in with Stu. I would be asleep and I would just hear his voice in my dreams. And I would wake up because it would trigger a nightmare within me. And I would wake up and she's laughing and she's happy that he's come to visit her. And I brought it up to her because it was multiple times that happened. I brought it up to her and I was like, hey, can you just let me know when he's going to come? And she pretty much got defensive. Oh, he can't come visit me and this and that. And I'm like, I'm not saying he can't come visit you, but if he's going to come, can you let me know so I can either be prepared for it or not? Because my thing is, I never really went into a lot of details about the thing with my mom. But my brother would threaten to, like, off with her head and this and this and that. Like, I lived in fear for a lot of years because of my brother, you know? And that was one of the reasons why I never spoke out about it. So for her to just be like, it's just like, I know you don't know the details, but if I'm telling you that this hurts me, you could try to find out the details instead of just telling me to get over it, which she told me multiple times to just get over it. And I told her that when I was 10, the scar still remains from when he bit my napple. He bit my napple, and because I was crying too much. But to you, a part of me wanted it. Okay, so let me reread that. I was 10. The scar still remains from when he bit my napple because I was crying too much. But to you, a part of me wanted it. Now, here's the thing. When it first came out, I didn't even realize it happened when I was 12 because I didn't even put the times together. It happened when I was 10, but I didn't put the times together. You feel me? And then plus there were things that happened even before I was 10, which indicates that this was a part of the play around the young kids around that age. If I'm going to be real, if we're going to have that conversation, this was a play thing around the kids, right? And I only got invited into it when I was 10 because I had to go through a trial period to get into it because I was always known as the tattletale. So I had to go through trial to get into it. And through getting into it, once my brother saw that I wasn't going to tell about these little things, then here comes the, what do we call this? Grooming. Here comes the grooming. But I had to have my ability to speak my truth taken away from me. I had to have the ability to be safe taken away from me. I had to have all of these abilities to feel comfortable taken away from me so that they could continue to manipulate me to not say anything. And my brother manipulated me so that he could use my body because he was curious on these things, right? And that's all it is. I'm at the age where I can say that I was truly manipulated and I had no adults to turn to with any questions. I had no adults to trust because my mother at that time was so in love with being in love that a lot of things passed by her radar. My mother at that time was so in love with my dad and like so in hate with me because I was the troublemaker. Even at that time, I wasn't really doing anything. I think it was just really the guilt from her getting rid of my birth sister that was really coming back to haunt her at that point. But because of all of these things that I did not do, because in 5th grade, the only thing I got in trouble about was I wrote a sewer slide note because this was after my sister was taken. I wrote that note because I was at the first point in my life actually getting mentally unwell, right? And the other thing that I got in trouble for was, okay, there was 3 things I got in trouble for. There was one thing where I supposedly posted a video of me or a picture of me like doing a split or being sexual on the internet, which was not true. It wasn't even any of that. It was a bed post and it wasn't even me that posted that picture. But I got in trouble about that. And then another thing that I got in trouble about, which wasn't really I was in trouble, it was at the end of the year. We were taking the CRCT test. My teacher would not let me go to the bathroom. I went in the bathroom and I peed on myself. So, boom. Those are the things I got in trouble about in middle school. But like, it's just like my mom saw me as this demon. She would say certain things. And it was really around the time where she would start saying that we just wanted her dead. Like, she would say that already, but it just continued. It continued, and all of that came to a head within 5th grade, where I realized I couldn't trust my mom. She didn't necessarily like me, and the only person in the house that had my best interest in mind was my brother. But actuality, he didn't have my best interest in mind. He actually, that was the manipulation tactic. The only person I could rely on was him. He would keep me from getting whoopings that actually, in actuality, he was the one who brought on these whoopings, but he would protect me from the whoopings that he was actually creating for me, okay? When I was younger, I didn't necessarily realize that my brother was getting me in trouble on purpose. As an older person, I can look back and I can see that he legitimately tarnished my reputation for multiple years before he actually started the assault. And I don't know where he learned these techniques, but let me tell you, if you look up grooming techniques, he checks off every single one of those boxes for me. So, my camera about to die. I'm going to pause and we're going to continue on reading this text message. So go ahead, take your tea. There'll be a little ad break, but we're going to continue. So give me a second. Okay, and we are back. And I'm going to continue to read these text messages. You knew nothing about me because you never were truly trustworthy. I truly feel like you never loved me. You would whip me based off of lies from my teacher and even my brother growing up, while he would legit bully me. And she never caught on to me being bullied. He would push me into walls and lie on me to get me in trouble. And anytime I tried to explain anything, it was back talking. You let daddy slap me twice and never did anything or said anything about it, but shamed me into calling him dad again. So after my dad slapped me, each time I just start back calling him his full name. Before he became my dad, he was Mr. So-and-so. So after he slapped me, I would just be like, Mr. So-and-so. And supposedly that hurt him so much, but he never said sorry. He never apologized for the action that he did. I was just pushed into being good with him again. And so you got rid of my birth sister and didn't even keep up with her for me to be able to see her again one day. You supported my decision to get pregnant only to shame me once I got pregnant. You would tell me all the time about how I was the devil and how I wanted you to die. I was afraid to go to the bathroom at night because I'd wake you. So when we were younger, my mom would do this thing. Like she had her bedroom downstairs. If the floor creaked, she'd be like, I know y'all ain't up. I know y'all ain't up. Y'all better take y'all ass to bed. She would do that, right? And it got so bad to the point where I just held my pee. You feel me? I was afraid to get up in the middle of the night because if you were up in the middle of the night, you needed to be light-footed, okay? Super light-footed because my mom was a light sleeper. Now, I believe she thinks that she was a light sleeper or this or that. But if she was such a light sleeper, then why didn't she hear my brother creeping into the bedrooms for that amount of time? You feel me? You know, and I'm not blaming her on my brother's actions. I'm not blaming her on this situation. I more so feel upset about her reaction or the things that she said about me to my little sister. Those are the things that upset me the most. Because it's already happened and she didn't necessarily tell him, go do this to your sister. So I don't blame her for that. But like, dang, you keep inviting him in. You don't care about my mental health. It's just get over it for me. Those are the things that really bother me about this situation, you guys. I don't care that my mom didn't stop my brother from doing what he did to me. What I care about is when my mom found out what my brother did to me, she turned to me and she told me to get over it. She turned to me and she told me that there was a part of me that wanted it. And when called out, she stood in that. She stood in that belief that I am a crazy person that somehow wanted this to happen to me, and therefore I don't know if it's her trying to absolve the guilt that she may feel about this situation, because my mom has always been the type of person that was like, don't let anyone touch you, don't let anyone touch you. But by through her always saying don't let anyone touch you, don't let anyone touch you, she truly manifested this to happen. Because I think if someone wasn't giving us a play-by-play book on what not to do, the things that she did not want to have happened wouldn't have happened, okay? If we could actually come to you and talk to you about things, the things that you did not want to happen would have been stopped, or it wouldn't have been allowed to happen. But one of the things that my mom liked to tell us is, if anyone ever touches you, I'm going to kill them and then I am going to kill you. How is that supposed to keep you open to communicating when things start to go wrong? When the person that says, if this ever happens to you, I'm going to kill you, and that person. That's the only gripe that I can have with my mom about this situation. You made yourself someone that we could never come to speak about anything. That is what you made yourself to be. You made yourself someone who did not care to hear people's voices or their opinions. You made yourself that person. So do not be surprised when you find out people don't come to you to tell you things. Because that is who you wanted to be. That is who you are truly. The person that does not care about people's feelings. You are the person that did not want to hear about what happened. You'd rather keep your rose-colored glasses on. We could have been dealing with this when it was happening, but instead, the words of, if yada 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 ever happens to you, I'm going to kill you or kill them too. Like, no. When something did happen when I was way younger, I mean when I was younger, right? My brother pushed me to, if I wanted to play with the big kids, I had to go behind the house and show the other dude, his brother, I had to show the brother my boobs, which I didn't have anything. I was flat-chested as a mug, but my brother pushed me to go behind the building to do it. My mom found out because she was looking out the window, and she beat me and my brother. Me, I didn't think anything was wrong about it because, first of all, I'm a young kid, and there's nothing there anyway. My chest looked just like his chest, right? I did not think there was anything wrong about it, but I got a butt whooping like I knew exactly what I was doing. Because my brother pushed me to do something that was bad. And therefore, I knew it was bad because my brother, who was like 4 years older than me, he knew it was bad. You feel me? So it was stuff already going on that was weird. And my mother was already the one that was quick to pull out the belt, quick to throw those hands towards little kids until we got older, because once we got older, she stopped throwing hands. Once we got older, she stopped whooping us. And I think it was because she was afraid. She was losing power and we were getting stronger than her. I'm just saying. But anyway, you tell people you don't know why I moved out, but do you tell them you moved my R word in after 3 days of me being away? When I moved out of Stuart's house, when I moved out of our house, it wasn't, oh, I'm going to stay away forever. I moved in with Stu, right? Because my sister told me, hey, mom has been saying this about you to me and it's making me really uncomfortable. I heard what she said and I said, you know, my little sister, you know, I can't continue to be there if this is what she's saying. So I'm going to have to go and find someplace to go. I called up Stu that same day. We were in the car and I was like, hey, can I come stay with you for a little bit? I wasn't leaving. I wasn't moving out. I was just taking a little bag and I was going over to Stu's place. While I was taking my little bag to go over Stu's place, she had my brother coming in and out, in and out. She called me up about 2 days after I was gone, and she was like, well, are you coming back? Because if not, Michael can move in. My brother, my R word. She was really happy for me to go so that she could give him the place to stay. Go figure. There is no one in this world who has treated me worse than you ever treated me, and you did that while showing your loyalty to a grown-ass man who disrespected you by calling you a bitch and not his mother multiple times. The same boy who robbed from you and took my innocence. He has lied and lied and lied, but you let him live in the Stockbridge house for free, only to turn to me after it was a wreck and offer to let me move in, clean it up while paying rent and the bills without even the freedom to take the furniture out of the damn house. My mom let my brother move into my grandma's house down in Stockbridge, okay? Cool, fine, dandy. He stayed in there rent-free. They was not paying rent and anything. While they were staying in there, they got a roach infestation, they got a rat infestation, and it just got totally bad, right? To the point where they just barricaded themselves into the bedroom, went out the back door, and just went into the kitchen. And they would go around the house to go to the kitchen and whatnot. That's how bad it got. It was a mess. My mom was like, oh yeah, you can move in and stuff like that, and you can just be paying these bills and whatnot. So she wanted me to pay the bills, which, okay, fine, cool. We're paying the bills. The bills were already behind because my brother was not paying them at all. He did not pay any of the bills. Okay, so the bills were already behind. My mother wanted me to move into the place and pay rent and also pay the bills after my brother, a grown-ass man with 2 kids, had lived there and didn't do any of that. I'm not mad about having to pay the bills and stuff like that because that's reality. You gotta pay bills. But also, on top of that, I could not take the furniture out of the house and put it in a storage. I could not do this. I could not do that. My mom wanted me to live in the house, clean it, and get it ready for her to do something with it with someone else. It wasn't my house. I couldn't paint walls. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. So I'm paying for a house that my brother doesn't even want. I'm paying for a house that my brother has trashed. I'm paying for a house that I have to come in and clean, but I can't do anything, and I'm supposed to be thankful for it. Everybody was like, yeah, you should take this, good deal. But nobody understood that she was telling me to pay back she was telling me to pay off the bills that my brother never paid. So I'm coming in this house cleaning up after my brother. She was telling me I couldn't put my furniture or anything inside the house. I couldn't change the house, but I had to move in and clean it up. A house that had a rat infestation. Because that is what I am good enough for. That is me. I am good enough to come to the house after my brother has trashed it, to live there, to lay my head down there and clean it up, but it's not my house. It's not my house where I can put furniture in. I can't clean it out. I can't do this. I can't do that. But I have to live in a house with rats. Make it make sense. Tell me how you really feel about me, right? And now the thing is about to die again. So give me a second, you guys. Give me a second. You complain about how your mom didn't want you and the things she said to you, like you didn't threaten me multiple times, that you didn't care if I called the cops. She would even tell us to call DFACS. That was the thing. She would tell us to call DFACS, and she was like, and they'll probably tell you to suck it up too. You know, these are the things. I don't know why I'm so frustrated, but because I already said it, but I'm irritated. I'm mad. I am pissed off, and my freaking camera is going out of space again. So give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, I'm all up in your face again. Okay, so we're not done. We are not done. Okay, we gotta make it quick because my camera really about to die. But yeah, my mom would tell us to call the cops. She didn't care. They weren't gonna do anything. They didn't really care about black kids in the system. You know, all the true things, but you know, man. And I continued to say what you said in anger left fucking scars that I try to heal every day, because I do. God knows I do. The universe knows I do. I am trying to heal myself, and I'm trying not to be as toxic as my mother. It is not easy realizing that your mother is who you are. It is truly not easy. I'm not as bad as my mom, but dang, do I have some toxic traits, okay? And I'm trying to heal them, but gosh, do I have toxic traits. And so I continued on. I said, you were always so afraid of the adopted child trope, where once the child finds out that they hate their adoptive parents, but you never thought about how you were just a toxic mom who didn't know how to love and pushed all of her kids away. At this point, I felt, oh my goodness, Alia, you're going a little bit too far. You're going a little bit too far. But honestly, it's the reality. My mom does not know how to love. Why? Because her mom never loved her the way that she felt like she should be loved. And then she turned around and she didn't know how to love other people, okay? And this is just like one of those times where you're just like, therapy could have helped that. You know, therapy is something that I think that my mom would have definitely got some use out of. Anyway, with that being said, I am completely done with you and this family, because it is a fraud, which it is. It is about showing, it's about this, it's about that, but it's never about the real stuff. It's not about the healing. It's not about I'll call you up and tell you that God blesses you because you're in the middle of a depressive episode, but I'm not going to tell you, hey, what you're telling to me sounds very shitty, and I'm sorry you had to go through it. I'm just gonna tell you, hey, just give it to Jesus and keep moving. Jesus saw it while it was happening, and I ain't got nothing against Jesus. I truly do not have anything against Jesus, but if you're gonna sit here and you're gonna tell me that Jesus made all these therapists for no reason, and you're just like, oh, just give it to Jesus, like Jesus didn't come out here with all this therapists, come out here with all this doctor, came out here with all this medicine. Excuse you, Jesus saw it when it was happening, and we also have tools available in our society, and I think Jesus would be very happy with us actually, instead of just saying, Jesus, I'm gonna pray to you to take away how my brother used to touch me as a little girl. Instead, Jesus, I'm gonna thank you for the therapy. I'm gonna thank you for the free resources that I can now use to better myself, okay? I'm going to thank you for that instead of just praying the pain away, because I don't know about anyone else, but that never worked for me. I am 25 years old, and look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I was struggling, and I literally just got to the point where I am not struggling as much as I used to struggle. And how did I get to that point where I'm not struggling as much as I used to struggle? Is actually speaking about this shit on the internet, speaking about the pain that I went through, speaking about and just putting it out there, because somebody needs to hear it. Somebody wants to hear it. Somebody is going to get a message from what I went through. Somebody might even find out that something that's going on in their household probably should not be going on, and we should probably get some people involved. Somebody's going to get some answers, okay? Because me sitting around and waiting for the pain to go away, me sitting around and praying to Jesus that I don't feel like a disgusting piece of shit anymore because my brother touched me and he gets to go around in life happy and doing his own damn thing. It didn't work. It did not work. So I'm finna go ahead and finish this. I'm gonna finish this. It's not loving or protective. This is talking about the family. It's not loving or protective, and everyone was left with scars. Y'all need to do some shadow work. Y'all need to do some ancestral healing is what this family needs to do. Get professional help if you ever want to help, because praying to Jesus won't do shit for this family. It cannot. There is a lot of work that needs to go into healing your inner child. There's a lot of work that needs to go into healing your generational trauma. And y'all not doing it, getting down on your knees and praying to Jesus. Thank you very much. I might have been the devil, but you are a demon like none other. And while you can try to justify it as I wasn't an easy child, knowing that you were a grown-ass adult the entire time, hitting and berating a child that you chose, period. Hey, babes. So my camera died, and so I just wanted to come back on here and give y'all an outro. That's Mommy Dearest for the most part. I think I could talk a little bit more about my mom. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. And honestly, I've been yelling. My voice is gone. I'm just thankful for you guys actually sitting here and watching my story. It's very important for my inner child to feel heard. And by telling my story and sharing the things that I went through, I definitely feel like I am being heard. And it's very healing for me. Sometimes I'm really sad when I finish recording one of my trauma timelines, but today I'm just more so angry. I have a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of anger inside of me because it was not okay and it will never be okay to me. And I'm just thankful that you guys are here. And you guys can just chill with me and also say, yo, that wasn't okay, right? So, much love and positive vibes. And I hope to see you guys again